Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to episode 5 of Wake Up Call with Anh Tay Nha. What I want to talk about today is a little bit of COVID, but mostly the big picture. I think a lot of us are really missing what's going on here, and that's why we're going through this whole cycle again. This Delta variant is really just the replaying of an old record. People keep begging for the past to come back, and so guess what? It has. But the time before we started this transition is totally gone. So as we keep begging for the past to return or life to return to normal, this is the new normal. And when the collective conscious of humanity wants it to come back instead of wanting to move forward, wanting to move into the new world, then this is what we've recreated. The record played through, and the bulk of us didn't get the message. We buried our heads in the sand and we just thought, I'm going to hide here until it's over, rather than saying, okay, what can I do with this time that I've been gifted? So the record, the needle got moved to the beginning, the volume got cranked up, and here we go again. I live in Vietnam. So from January 2020 until March 2021, we had about 1,400 cases of COVID. From April 2021 until today, the 3rd of August 2021, we have 140 plus thousand cases of COVID. And the reason being because everyone, or the bulk of humanity, over 50%, is holding on to the nightmare of the old world and our old life. So now here we go again. We're going through all of this again. We're being gifted time to go home. You're not being forced to be home. It's a gift. Time is the most precious thing that we have in this life, and it's the only resource that we cannot really get back. And it is the one thing that in the old world, in the old life, the normal life, that so many of us were begging for time to sit back, to decompress, to relax, more time with family, more time with friends. Just because we're in our homes, it doesn't mean you cannot connect with people and you cannot spend time with your family. I'm connecting with you on video, so can't you do the same? Can't you reach out to the people who exist in your life, and maybe you haven't talked to them in years, but you still care, you still love them? Use this time to connect with them and build a stronger connection. Let them know you're there. Another friend of mine has revealed to me today that she is struggling, and I'm so glad she told me. I'm sorry that I didn't continue to build a strong enough connection that she turned to me as soon as she began suffering, but I'm so glad that she felt that she could turn to me and tell me what was happening. Whether she needed support or she just wanted, to share that. I'm not living in her inner circle. I don't know her partner, and so sometimes the people that aren't directly connected to a situation are much easier to turn to. But again, this is a gift that we have been given. For myself, I used the gift very well the first time around. I applied the time that I had and the energy, the extra energy and focus I had to reflect into myself, to evaluate my behaviors, my beliefs, and to adjust them accordingly. Some of them remained and were reassured by the contemplation that I did, but some of them were abandoned. And that's really the point. The point is that we are not distracted by the energetic fields of our coworkers. We are not able to go out Friday night and party all night and sleep in Saturday morning and get up just to do it again. Our free time has become the bulk of our time, and that way we cannot run and hide. We cannot ignore that voice inside of us. Because I used the time so well the first time, I'm not going to lie that I am frustrated by what is happening now. I'm frustrated to have to live through this situation again because of the ostriches burying their head in the sand and thinking, I'm just going to ignore everything until this is over. I'm just going to watch TV, I'm going to distract myself, and I'm going to hook my attention into a TV show or into something rather than reflecting on who I am and making the changes that I need to be making. That's why this bulk of time is ending a lot of relationships, because those issues were there before. But because you could distract yourself with work and be exhausted when you got home and eat dinner and watch TV a little bit and go to bed and then wake up and just repeat this cycle, it allowed us to continue living in a nightmare, and it allowed us to numb ourselves to the reality. But why this is happening in total is because this is a time of great transformation for humanity. And the longer we go on not accepting that and not facing that, the longer this is going to drag out. The more this record is going to keep playing and playing and playing and playing. And we can see with the Delta variant that things are more intense. And isn't that true about everything in your life? Every time you did not listen to the universe, every time you did not take the action that you knew you were supposed to take, it got worse, didn't it? When you didn't deal with your anxiety or that thing that was bothering you, when you didn't take action on it, did things go away? Or did the anxiety and the situation get worse and worse and worse until you faced it and dealt with it so you could move on? It's not easy to accept that we need to change and that we need to adjust and shift the circumstances in our life. But nothing worth doing is ever going to be easy. And now's the time to be an example to our friends, family, community, and children of the strength that we actually have, of that we aren't going to ignore ourselves anymore, that we are not going to remain silent. In my culture, we often say, oh, it's not polite to talk about politics. It's time to forget about polite, okay? It's time to raise our voice. That is what we're being called to do. If you are silent, you are the problem. Not the anti-vaxxers, not the governor of your state, not anything outside of you. You are the problem. If you witness an atrocity happening and you sit back and let it happen because you don't want to feel uncomfortable or you're not comfortable, creating conflict, you are the reason we're going through this. I've seen the governor of Alabama blaming the unvaccinated people for what's happening there. It's beyond mind-blowing to me, because this exact same person was saying for a long time, oh, this doesn't exist, and oh, we don't need to do mask mandates, and now blaming anti-vaxxers. They believe what they believe because of the voice you had, because the opportunity you had in the media and in the public eye to say, okay, everyone, this is really not a big deal. You need to get a grip and just follow some guidelines so that we can move forward. It's not about getting through this. It's about using the time properly and well to advance and evolve yourself, so that when everything does change and we get to go out into the world and experience this new life, the experience is more about love, community, and support for each other rather than money and business and buying useless knickknacks for your house that you don't need. I cannot believe this woman has this audacity. And what I can't believe more is the members of her party not calling it out. They have been doing this for a long time. This certain political party saying one thing for a long time, then saying another, and nobody holding them accountable. It's like at midnight every night the power shuts off and their digital clock just blinks 12, 12, 12, 12 until they wake up the next day, they watch Fox News, and they're programmed what to believe that day. They don't remember even yesterday, let alone 6 months ago or a year ago. All they know is what they have seen that day. And that is what allows these false prophets, these enablers, to continue deceiving the people that are around them, the people in their orbit, or humanity as a whole. A friend of mine yesterday said to me about the governor in my home state, oh, we still have this governor elected here. And this friend in particular is somebody that I asked months ago when I was facing these problems, can you pray for me? Very religious person and an incredible woman, don't get me wrong. She didn't reply. So then I said, I'm sorry I bothered you, you know. It was a little passive aggressive, I'm not going to lie. And then she said, oh, I'll read about it, whatever. And then I never heard again. So now this person is blaming the governor. So not the 3 million people in the state, but one person. This is one person's fault that we're facing this now. It's absurd. It's completely absurd to believe in your head that one person is responsible and to project onto them. Honestly, I'm not a fan of our former president, Donald Trump, but it's not his fault either. Nothing was his fault. The fault was with the people that were believing it. The fault was with the thousands of people in the media that continued to support false claims and spread false information in order to deceive people and keep them under control of the old world. And now, even the good people are holding on to the past. They're projecting onto a few individuals, oh, this isn't me. This isn't that I don't raise my voice. This isn't that when somebody reaches out to me in desperation for help that I don't support them. This is because the governor. This is because one person. It's absolute bullshit. Excuse my language, but it really, I'm angry. I'm not angry. I'm frustrated. Because as long as we do not accept responsibility for what we're facing on the whole planet, the longer this is going to continue. And the longer it's going to impede someone like me who faced this long ago, who took stock of their life, who changed and who, altered their behaviors and their beliefs to be part of this new evolution of humanity. Now that things are in place and moving forward in my life, brick walls keep getting put up along my path because of the bulk of humanity. Not one person, not one party, not one anything, but because the vast majority of us are not getting the picture. That's how lessons work. If you don't learn it in school, they teach it to you again in a different way, in a harsher way, or you have to study at home. You don't get to just do it at school. You have to take it home. You have to spend more time working on that lesson because you're not getting the picture. Listen, we cannot blame anybody, but we can assess the situation and realize it's the bulk of humanity. It's everyone that sits silent as atrocities happen in their community, as they hear their neighbors cry for help, and they don't reach out. All they do is make an excuse for themselves, and then they project onto someone else. Oh, it's their fault. It's their fault. It's mind-boggling. The other day, a policeman was explaining to somebody here, a 79-year-old man, the restrictions that were on and that he couldn't just be out walking around. The man took his motorbike helmet and hit the police officer in the head. What in the world is happening there? That this person is trying to protect the health of everyone in the community, and this one person has the audacity to knock them upside the head with their helmet. We see rioting now in South Africa, in Australia. It's been happening in the States since this happened. People are saying, oh, people are just over it. They're tired of it. They're sick of it. Tough. We are all in this together. One individual does not have the ability to break free of the cumulative dream of humanity. That is not how this life is set up, unfortunately. Because trust me, I would love to break free, and I would love to live solely in my own reality, and in a reality and in circumstances that I created, whether they be good or bad, to face only the consequences of what I had built. But that's not how it works. People are getting frustrated because of the denial, because of the projection, and because they are living in fear. We have nothing to be afraid of in the future. It doesn't even exist yet. What I'm afraid of is returning to the past, to a reality that doesn't serve 95% of humanity. I would love for everyone to have the ability to have limitless clean water, to be able to bathe, to have a home that is warm when it's cold outside and cold when it's hot outside, plenty of food, and access to the internet so that they can educate themselves in any way they see fit. Elon Musk gave an interview that's sort of trending a bit now, where he's saying, you don't need college to learn. Everything you want to know is on the internet. You can learn it for free. So it is a choice. And the fact that people keep living in fear, it's a choice they're making. And you might be enabling them to do so because you don't want to raise your voice. You don't want to offend your family. Tough poop. I mean, aren't we past the point of offending people by now? One thing is, I am not a supporter of a certain political party in my country, but what I will say is at least they say what they believe. They will get in your face and scream lies and BS at you because they believe it and they're standing on their principles. However misinformed they are, at least they will stand up and fight for what they believe. The other party that I tend to ally with, but, I really question the spine that exists in them, they say it, but only in their inner circle. They'll get mad and frustrated within the circle of their party, but they will not face that opposition. They will not stand up and fight. No, we don't need to scream and yell. But we do need to share our opinion. And if the people at your dinner party don't agree, okay, that's no problem. They can leave or they can remain. It all depends on how the dynamic that you have with your friends and family. But if you are silent while atrocities are being committed around you, you're the problem. Everybody that doesn't stand up for the police here, they're the problem. If you allow things to continue that are not serving humanity as a whole, you are the problem. People are not going to let go of power. Have you ever witnessed somebody just let go of the power? No. They're scared. They're afraid to lose that power. You're afraid to lose a job. You're afraid to lose your partner. It's a valid fear. But when you live in fear, when you let fear control your decision making, you are the problem. When you don't want to upset your family, you're the problem. Upset them, they're upsetting you. Why do you allow them to create unrest inside of your soul, but you allow them to create unrest everywhere else? Not but they create it in you. You allow them to create it everywhere else, and you're not willing to create that in them? You're not willing to push back on them a little bit? I don't understand that. I don't understand why the ignorant, misinformed have the most courage to stand up for what they believe. They're the only ones that are really fighting right now. And the rest of the people are just sitting back silent, allowing this to happen. Now, I've said in other videos, more people are getting engaged, but it's not enough. We're not getting the picture quick enough and well enough that we can move through this phase of evolution. And I guarantee you, it's not going to stop. It's going to get worse before it gets better. The fact that Vietnam has as many cases as we do now shows me what is coming to the other countries. Because Delta, right, you can catch it whether you're vaccinated or not, and you can spread it whether you're vaccinated or not, whether you have symptoms or not. But the only reason we're going through this is because fear is still controlling humanity, and the universe is trying to get us to break free. Some of my friends have told me over the course of my life that they really admire me because I'm courageous, because I'm willing to move across the world, or I'm willing to start over and try again. I wouldn't call it courage, but what I would call it is not being controlled by fear. When something makes me scared, I go after it. And I have done since I was very young, because I have refused since childhood to be controlled by fear, because it does exist in me. It exists in all of us. Anxiety, fear. As I said before, I've suffered with depression and anxiety my entire life. But I didn't want to look toward medicine. I didn't want to look toward someone else for the answers. Everything you need to know is inside of you. You are not separate from God. You are not separate from the universe. The answer is not in a book, though maybe there are some keys there, some tools that will allow you to reflect in a more healthy, informed way. But everything you need to know is inside you. Please know that. If you start to accept it, you will start to see the universe aligning on your behalf and bringing signs onto your path, people onto your path to lift up and support you as you begin this new journey. Once over 50% of us choose that, we actually will begin to progress and move out of this phase of transformation that humanity is in. Again, people telling me that is such a kind compliment. It doesn't mean that I'm not afraid. It means that I'm not going to let fear control my decisions. I'm not going to let myself believe, oh, I can't start over again. I'm not intelligent enough. I'm not skilled enough to build a life in Vietnam or Kuwait. So I'm just going to stay here and keep this mediocre job and stay in the same town my whole life and blah, blah, blah. You know, whatever you choose to do, that's right for you. But I just encourage you to stop letting fear control your decisions. I'm not fearless, I'm courageous. I face that fear and I deal with the consequences, trust me. And there have been plenty of consequences, plenty of difficult times. But the reality is, because I believed in myself, I believed that the skills and the information I needed to survive and build a better life were inside, the universe has every time brought things onto my path that allowed me to continue to progress. Sometimes I've had to break down and ask for help in order to find those gifts. Sometimes I have had to face difficult situations or sell things that were important to me But in letting go, abundance was returned. More than I lost has been returned to me. Sometimes money, mostly love, mostly support and kindness. So as we see these people lose power and they begin to riot and they begin to get angry and we become frustrated by going through this again, it is our job as light workers, as the informed, as the enlightened, to remain calm and to try to show love in these situations, to try to understand and to raise our voice and say, no, it's not the governor's fault. And to accept our own responsibility in what we're going through. Stop saying something on the outside is the problem. The problem is inside of you. You have manifested the problem. You accept the problem by not speaking against it, by not using your power and your energy to push it back. It's pushing you, so why not push back? What is wrong with the truth you believe? Because I'm telling you, the other side, they see no problem with what they believe. They are not afraid. And honestly, I respect them for that. At least they're fighting for their team. What I'm asking all of you to do is to fight for our team. Please stand up. Share your voice. Don't allow the fear of humanity to control you and to continue holding us all back. If you'll stand up, if we will all stand up and raise our voice in support of each other, in support of the future instead of the past, I promise you, the brightest days humanity has ever seen are just on the horizon. They are just ahead of us. It gives me chills because it's a fact. The greatest moments in human history are just around the corner. Which part are you playing in inviting that into our reality? And which part are you playing in holding on to the ashes of the past and begging God to bring back a time that no longer exists? Thank you for joining me today. This is about 5% of what I had to say on the subject. I could talk for hours just about this and about these people losing power and going crazy, about the Karens, about the anti-vaxxers, about the rioters, about all these people. But the reality is they aren't the problem. You are. If you're silent when you see somebody being hurt, if you stand back and film something. When I lived in Kuwait, inside of the mall where I worked, somebody was murdered. There had been an argument in the parking garage down below. A group of people went up into a store, bought a knife, found this person, and murdered them inside the mall with hundreds of people standing around videoing it, watching what happened. But no one stepping in, no one using their power to assist another human being. With hundreds of people around, do you really think 3 people could stab another one to death? If even a third of those people had taken action in support of their fellow human being, it wouldn't have happened. They could have easily subdued those murderers instead of sitting back and videoing it with their cell phone like it's entertainment. It's not a movie. That was one of the most atrocious things I've ever been around, and it really changed my perspective in that moment. But I am not going to give up on humanity. I am not going to believe that we don't care about each other. Because the reality is that the people were afraid. But you don't have to be afraid. Please let go of fear. Please raise your voice. Please support your neighbor. Please don't let the minority of misinformed, miseducated people control us all anymore. Let's reclaim our power and let's come together. That's what we're here for. Again, thank you for joining me today. If you like the video, like, subscribe, click a button, leave a comment. Maybe you don't agree. Let's have a dialogue. I'm not against somebody disagreeing with me. I love that because somebody reading that comment may say, yeah, I agree with them. And then I'm going to have a reply to that. And we can create a healthy dialogue. We don't have to be angry at people. We don't need to be hateful. We don't need to cancel everybody. We don't need to fight them. We need to just raise our voice. Speak up, speak out, love yourself more than anyone else can love you. And when you do that, you won't let fear control you anymore. But right now, we look for external validation, posting photos, trying to look so hot and sexy and handsome and whatever to get validation and positive feedback from people. That's not going to get you anywhere. It's absolutely false. But if you raise your voice, you stand up for somebody in real life, I guarantee you, the beauty that will begin to be delivered to you is beyond your imagination. I love you all. I'm sending you my light, my healing energy, and I am praying for a better day. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.